Yeah, I decided I would dedicate this week to making videos about anime. Last video I went on a rant talking about the upcoming Fist of the North Star adaptation and how negative it's been received. And today, I want to talk about an anime that's been received very positively. Dandadan was an anime that came out of nowhere for me. I didn't know anything about it, but after watching that first episode several months ago, I was hooked. One of the few anime that I rewatch frequently, I was just blown away by so many aspects. And now that its second season is being released, I thought this would be an ample opportunity to talk about it. Now I want to get this out of the way before any virgins go in raw. This anime makes dick jokes out the wazoo, which will make sense in just a moment. So on paper, it's not the kind of anime I like, because I've been very advocate about my disliking of slice of life. In fact, it only takes me one hand to count the amount of slice of life anime I even remotely like. Before this, it was just Spy Family and Part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Though I only liked that once Kira debuted. But Dandadan does have slice of life elements, which I really liked. And there's actually a bit of lore to why it and the romance is done so well. It's because the creator was instructed to read over 100 romance manga as part of his preparation for the series. That's impressive. That's dedication you don't see very often, and it was all for that aspect. So the anime revolves around ghosts and aliens, two things I f***ing love. I'm a believer and spent a large chunk of my college experience exploring the paranormal. Plus I live in Georgia and Savannah is probably the most haunted place in the South. Even though I brush off most sightings, I still enjoy the whole concept of an inexplicable phenomenon, and I think Dandadan blends the two well. Now season 1 is very introduction heavy. Most of it is spent introducing a variety of characters as well as laying out the overall narrative. So our two main protagonists, Momo and Okarun, discover they have powers. Momo unlocks psychic abilities after being abducted by aliens, and Okarun gets possessed by a ghost called Turbo Granny after she steals his cock, and through a series of events is able to call upon her really impressive powers. That's not new in terms of anime, the whole concept of a protagonist acquiring powers through possession. That's the whole reason why characters like Naruto and Ichidori made it as far as they did. The only thing that's new is the possession via cock. But what Dandadan does differently is how well they're able to combine so many different elements. Aforementioned, it's got slice of life, as well as sci-fi, horror, comedy, action, and is really good at delivering emotional beats when necessary. There's an episode in season 1 I really don't want to spoil because of how emotionally heavy it's written, but it was able to convey so much all in the span of a single episode. So after our protagonists acquire these powers, they go through a series of misfortunate events as they try to defeat Turbo Granny and reclaim Okarun's cock and balls. Like I said, this anime had a habit of making dick jokes out the wazoo because it's first and foremost just fun. It's self-aware and recognizes the absurdity of the catalyst which sets forth everything to come. They get trained by Seko Ayase, Momo's grandmother, and they proceed to encounter more aliens and ghosts, which result in more characters acquiring powers along the way. The characters, by the way, are all written very well. There's not a single one I hate, though obviously I like some more than others. I like Okarun more than Momo, and my favorite character as of right now is Ira. That might be a bit of a hot take, but she's the only character who started out as blatantly flawed and has already gone through some great character development. Again, the characters are great all around, but most of them were written in a way that you couldn't dislike them, even Turbo Granny. However, Ira started as a character you wouldn't like, but then got better as the season progressed, largely due to her also acquiring a spiritual possession power. The fights they have against the aliens and ghosts are also very different in terms of design, but are great all around in terms of action. I definitely prefer the fights they have against the aliens because it usually takes more than just brute strength to defeat them. For example, Momo and Okarun encounter a Flatwoods monster who specializes in a sumo-like fighting style. He uses his alien technology to set up a barrier so they can't escape, and they're unable to match him physically. So they outsmart him by using the Flatwood Monster's own strength to break the barrier so they can get outside and place a talisman inside the barrier, which causes the Flatwood Monster to be incinerated. Everything they do with the aliens is all visually impressive. Even though the fights are more intense against the yokai, it's more fun watching them fight the aliens. Their technology is designed to counter and contain spiritual powers, so most of their fights require a lot of strategy. You'll have Momo using her psychic abilities to nullify the Serponians, so Okarun and Ira can transform into their spiritual forms and beat the shit out of them. Like, the yokai are definitely stronger than the aliens, but you wouldn't be able to tell this given how frequently they struggle fighting the aliens than yokai. So the first season ends with the introduction of Gigi, Momo's childhood friend slash crush. He can now see ghosts and needs Seko Ayase to perform an exorcism, which she can't do since her powers come from the gods of the region. If she's not on home turf, she can't use her powers. So she sends Momo and Okarun to help Gigi kill the ghost that's haunting his house, and it ends on a cliffhanger with Okarun and Gigi discovering there's a secret room in the house. Oh, and Momo is also actively being drowned by some perverts. Now season 2 is where things get dialed up to 11. There's only 3 episodes right now, but everything about it, right off rip, is great, including the opening. That was a big talking point during the first season. Like, you knew this anime was going to be great when even the opening was spectacular. And I'm happy to say the opening for season 2 is just as good. I'm usually somebody who skips the opening for most anime, but it was great back to back with Dandadan. Season 2 picks up where we left off, and obviously Momo gets saved. If you made it this far in the video, I'm just going to assume you don't care about spoilers. Not that I think this is a huge spoiler. It'd be pretty ballsy if they killed one of their protagonists right off rip. But anyways, Momo gets saved, and she and Okarun learn that Gigi's house has been soaked in blood. It's been used as a sacrificial altar for the cryptid known as Tsukinoko by the Kido family. The men who were trying to kill Momo in a hot spring. They planned to sacrifice Gigi and his parents to appease the creature, but didn't know there was another entity living in the house, the Evil Eye. The Evil Eye is probably the coolest yokai so far. Like the others, he was once human. He was sacrificed as a child by the Kido family 200 years ago and spent majority of his time as a wandering spirit. He eventually met a boy who could see him and formed a strong connection with them. Unfortunately, he could not save the kid from being sacrificed, which caused him to lose his faith in humanity. He adopted the boy's look and now has a hatred for humanity, causing anyone to gaze upon him to commit suicide. However, the Evil Eye was actually protecting Gigi because his goal was to possess his body. That was established in the trailer, but the reason for this is because Gigi is naturally gifted. Not only is he very athletic, but he also possesses ki, which in this universe is extremely rare and sought out by evil spirits. So episode 2 ends with the Evil Eye successfully possessing Gigi and tries to kill Momo, but Okarun transforms in the nick of time to stop him, which sets up for a big fight in episode 3. Episode 3 is by far the best episode this season. It managed to hit every mark as well as deliver probably the best yokai fight so far. I actually liked Okarun versus the Evil Eye more than his fight against Turbo Granny. And I don't want to go into details because I don't want to spoil things, but visually, it was pretty damn great. So while Okarun is fighting the Evil Eye, Momo is trying to find a way to bring the Deathworm to the surface in order to kill it. The Deathworm being Tsukinoko. She burns the house down, the fire department puts it out, which also floods the cavern beneath the house, causing the worm to retreat to the surface where exposure to the sunlight kills it. I mean, I guess you could say that is pretty anticlimactic, but it's not like the death worm was the main threat. That honor goes to the evil eye. Now, something I forgot to mention was how the village Gigi resides in was also built near a dormant volcano and has become a tourist attraction because of their hot springs. That's part of the reason why the Keto family was sacrificing people, but episode 3 ends with Tsukunoko dead and the volcano erupts. I don't really know what the explanation for this is yet, but I'm very certain they're going to explain this as the arc progresses. But overall, what a great start to Season 2 of Dandadan. I left out a bunch of details and simplified as much as possible because I still want people to experience the joy of watching this anime for the first time. I cannot stress enough the quality it brings to the genre, and I'm optimistic the fandom will continue to grow. Season 2 is rumored to cover mainly the Cursed House and Evil Eye arc, so there shouldn't be a heavy emphasis on aliens, but if it's anything like Season 1, it might end by setting up the Kaijo arc. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because I straight up love Dandadan. It might make my list for top 3 favorite anime, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend giving it a chance. That's really about it, so